a lot of people don't understand the struggles you go through. And when you go through struggles with God, it can look very different than going through struggles just in the ways that the world would go through struggles. God's grace is sufficient, and how his grace looks in your life may look different at different times. So, for example, over the last 6 months or so, we've been without a car, without a home. Now we've had access to both, but we don't have them ourselves. And it's been a major kind of like restoring or reestablishing a foundation in marriage and in my relationship with the Lord, and just his leading and guiding. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but long story short, uh, as you go through that process in life, as you go through your own struggles or challenges, God's grace is sufficient, and it just, you have to look for it. So in some instances, his grace might look like, for example, in the past, when we've had debt in the past, his grace looked like literally people coming in and just like paying for it. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, and that was his grace. In different circumstances, it looked like the grace to persevere and to work hard and to have the work of my hands be blessed, as I've been navigating. And I can't go into it right now. You should watch some other YouTube video I've shared on it about it. But as I've been navigating just how to break free of strongholds, and and to get the deliverance I needed from certain things financially, but then more importantly from self-hatred and some other things that were deeper rooted in my life. And his grace has looked different in each time. There have been other times in my life where I didn't have energy, and it would be just like a complete, I'm on my back and I don't know how I'm going to, at the time I was starting coaching business, and I was trying to figure out how to heal and grieve from losing my dad. And I was in a long distance relationship, and I had a lot of hormonal dysfunction that was causing me to feel really low energy often. And I was still living a lifestyle, or trying to change a lifestyle that I'd been living, where I was just powering my way through all kinds of problems. And his grace in that season looked like actually giving me strategy for business so that I could provide for myself, and so that I could be effective without having to spend 15 hours a day working. And that gave me the opportunity to rest and to heal and to do what my body needed, which was really to try and recover from years of poor lifestyle choices, but also just like trauma that I had experienced through the passing of my dad, and all that that brought up for me from my past traumas that I had never really addressed, or dealt with. So, his grace is sufficient, but it looks different in different seasons. And people might not understand the struggle that you're going through, but when you walk with God and you go through the trials, the testings, the challenges, and you look for that grace that is sufficient, uh, it it may appear that there's no struggle at all, and that to the outside world may be their perspective, and internally that can cause a bit of a conflict, because you can go, well, does anybody see me? But what you have to remember is, like, God's grace being sufficient in your life is him seeing you, and that is of highest importance, highest value. Um, it's not that other people validating your experience isn't valuable, but it's that there's a priority in understanding that God sees you and values you and cares for you. And I think sometimes we can get really off track when we're looking for other people to validate us in our struggle and our challenge. And meanwhile, God's sitting there the whole time going, but what about me? Like, I've been here all along providing in the ways that you need. Whether you've been looking for it or not, that's a different story. So just remember that God's grace is sufficient. It may look different depending on the season you're in, but you always got to look for it. And don't yeah, just don't grow bitter if you don't have other people validating, your struggle in whatever that is. And I would even challenge you too to just say like, hey, maybe you need to communicate honestly with some people that are close to you, and just communicate humbly like, hey, this is what I'm going through, and I'd love some help, and here's what help looks like. I mean, that's maybe a step two, but first is always looking to God's grace and how it's been sufficient for you.